Good morning, everyone, or afternoon as it may be when you're listening to this recording. Today is June the 27th. I'm actually recording this on June the 23rd after we just received the numbers in from May for national home sale numbers. So we put it together, finalize it. We're going to run through it today. Welcome to Fridays with Phillip. For those of you who don't know me, I am Phillip Cantrell, the founder of Benchmark Realty in Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and now also in Alabama. Pretty excited about that. Moving right along, I want to remind you of the channel that you're watching this on, which is the YouTube channel, Benchmark YouTube channel. You can see our name there at Benchmark Realty LLC is how you find us. Be sure and give us a thumb up, give us a subscription, give us a like, give us some feedback. It's kind of like we're talking down into a bucket here on these recordings, but it would help to know that what you see is useful. And we have a lot of content on our channel. If you haven't had a chance to go back through, you'll want to look at the videos. You'll see the list of them across the bottom of your screen there, and you can click on those descriptions of each one, and it will open up an index with a preview thumbnail for that index. If there's a certain part that you want to skip to and hear more about or listen to again and again and again, then you certainly have the ability to do that. We spend a lot of investment in making sure we can do that for you. Want to kick things off with another mention of Momentum Title. They are attorney owned. They are a sister company of Benchmark, and they have processors in pretty much every one of our offices. We highly encourage you to use them because there is discounts that are available. No closing fee on your first closing. There's no closing fee on active military or your personal residence. That is the closing fee, not the title insurance. Title insurance, in case you didn't know, those prices are set by the state of Tennessee. So those prices are the same at every title company. The question is, which one do you pick for your clients to use or recommend to your clients, put it that way. The revenue from Momentum Title helps pay for the free tools. Now, I just want to mention one other thing here. We have not raised our fees in almost 4 years. And the reason we have not raised our fees in 4 years is because the revenue we receive from Momentum Title. Other title companies that you may be selecting, they are not contributing to our revenue. They're not contributing to our overhead defrayment. They're not contributing to us at all. They're contributing to you. So I would ask, as a benchmark is that friend of yours who buys you a bottle of wine at Christmas really helping put money in your children's mouths? And by us keeping our fees low, it helps keep money in your pocket. So just keep that in mind the next one you have. And by the way, if you didn't know it or not, whoever is paying for title gets to select the title company. You don't have to just go along with whatever the other party says. You get to select it if you're paying for it. So keep that in mind. We appreciate the business, and we look forward to seeing you on the list of closings at Momentum Title soon. One of the products that they help us pay for is Real Scout. If you're not using Real Scout, you need to go sign up, get on it, get your clients on it right now. It is a very valuable tool. We were one of the first ones in the Southeast to use it, and we were the first one in Nashville to use it. It is think of it as AI-powered Zillow. So your client goes on you put Real Scout search up for your client, and it becomes dynamic because it's paying attention to where your client is clicking. And if they're clicking on bedrooms and 4 bedrooms and different stuff that they didn't tell you in the original search criteria, then it will begin to modify that search for them. And it will also notify you, the agent, while it modifies that. And we have used it for a long time. We have great success with it. We have nearly 50% of our affiliates, of our almost 2,000 affiliates, are on the system at this point, and it is very successful. It is a way to glue them to you, to keep them connected to you, which is the main way you're going to get business in the future, is staying connected to your clients. In the exclusives noise that we hear a lot about, okay, so all that's going on in the marketplace right now, well, we've had that through Real Scout, exempt listings through Real Scout all along. And those will be shown, if you put them on our Real Scout, they will be shown to benchmark clients in part of their search process. So we've already been doing that for like 2 years now. So it's really not that big a deal. All this noise that you're hearing on the marketplace, just ignore it. You've already got it. Capitalize on it, utilize it. It doesn't cost you a thing, so you need to be utilizing it. Something that will cost you a little bit of money is Client Bay. This is a combination of a social media posting as well as CRM system. And it's one of the best CRM systems that we could find. It is fully connected with Real Scout. It is fully connected with Social Bay. It is a one-stop shop for you, and we highly recommend that you try that. There's some training coming up in July, as you can see on the screen. You can also see that training on the training and events calendar on the Benchmark Dash. So you want to go there and check that out, and you can subscribe with this QR code, or you can click the button on the dash, either one. It's just $35 a month, and it is a full bore system. Social Bay, Client Bay, you've got a business in a box right there. All right, moving on. A date that you want to keep in mind. You want to put this on your calendar, circle it in red. Do not let anything get in the way, including home inspections or closings or anything else. Do not let it get in the way of attending the Benchmark Expo 2025, which will be coming up October the 6th at the Franklin Marriott over here in Franklin. Same place we had it last year. We have just booked our speaker. We're not ready to release that information yet, but it's a nationally known speaker that you'll be well impressed with. We're also going to do the awards program like we did last year, little miniature awards that are based on our mission and values as opposed to production. So they're really good. It's really a good program, really good setup. Plus there will be 50 to 75 partners there. I won't call them vendors. I'll call them partners of people who have viable products that can help you in your business. So it's a pretty much an all-day thing, and you want to set aside the meat part of the day to attend this event. Another reminder that we have expanded to Alabama. If you have an Alabama license or no one who does and wants to join us, reach out to Bo Zvack, and you see his email there on the screen, bo@benchmarkrealtytn.com. He is technically the Alabama principal broker and building that office pretty well. We are everywhere, y'all. We are everywhere. You can see the red stars on your screen. We are in Murray, Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky, and Clarksville, all the way down to Murfreesboro. We have no physical office in Alabama, but we do have an Alabama license, and we have multiple affiliates that live in Chattanooga. Probably going to be growing into that market in the not too distant future, but that's a secret. Don't tell anybody. We are really looking forward to continuing the expansion across the mid-state area, the mid-south area. So stay tuned. Keep in mind, we have invested a lot of money in our website, and we continue to invest a lot of money in our website, and we are getting a serious amount of leads through that website on your listings. Our methodology here is your listing, your lead. We do not harvest it. We do not skim that off. We do not take it anywhere. But if you get an email from no-reply@unionstmedia.com, you need to respond to it right now. You've got about 15 minutes, or you might as well throw it away. And we have literally spent over $50,000 revamping our website and our SEO, our search engine optimization, and our advertising on social marketing, and we are killing it. We've generated over 900 leads for our affiliates on their listings year to date. And most of those are being responded to appropriately. We are still seeing some that fall through the gaps, so we would caution you to pay special attention to that and focus on it. Your email, that when it comes in, be responsive, be responsive, be responsive. DiscoverBenchmark.com now goes to our careers page on our website. We've talked about this before. We've also talked about the fact that you, as a current affiliate, can receive a $300 bonus when you bring on another affiliate that meets our criteria. After they've been here for 60 days, you'll get a check in the mail or a payment in your bank account for the $300. You can send them to discoverbenchmark.com, or you can link them directly to Bo Zvack, who will do the placement with the correct principal broker so that they have a good compatibility. United Real Estate is our parent company, as you know, and they are blowing and going. We are really doing some great stuff on a national basis. If you read Real Estate Magazine, there were 2 individual articles in Real Estate Magazine about United Real Estate just today. There's a lot of good things happening. And one of the good things that I keep bringing up, and I just want to kind of talk about it, is often we see on the closed group a post that says, does anybody know an agent in blank, some location? Okay, so you have to keep in mind that United Real Estate has a referral network that is nationwide across the entire country. Okay, you can go on the system. The link is on our dash. You click the link, you fill out the form. This descriptive information here you'll see on the website that it takes you to, and it will tell you how it works. But the main thing I want to emphasize to you is that all referral agents, those receiving the referral that when you put it in the system, they have been fully vetted. They are all experts. They are all experienced people. It's not just you throw it in a bucket and hope something comes out the other end. It's not how this works. But you have an obligation to communicate your needs to the referral network managers. So you can stay as involved as you want to be. You can interview the agent before the referral is placed. You can reject that agent. You can say, give me another one, keep going through it. You are in complete control. This is not just throwing it in a bucket and hoping that something comes out the other side. And the best part is if that agent on the other side forgets to pay your commission, then United Real Estate will guarantee your commission cut and will pay you, and then we'll pursue the other agent so that you don't have to. And as the one who usually has to make that call to the other broker, I'm very appreciative of that, because that frees me up from having to call people that I don't know, never dealt with in another part of the country, chasing your money. Put it in the system, use the referral network. And the other benefit is that if you're interested in potentially receiving inbound leads, then inbound referrals, then you need to go on the United referral system and complete your profile. They're not going to just send it to you automatically. You've got to have a valid profile that's very specific, talks about the areas that you operate in best. And if you'll complete your profile, there's a possibility, potentially, that you could receive some inbound referrals. So keep that in mind. Another big benefit of the 4-stage commitment that United Real Estate and Benchmark has to your career, which goes beyond just the money. So it starts with 100% commission, which is very unusual in our world today. And because we don't charge a 20 or 15% split, we charge a fee. That's pretty straightforward. And we have the access to healthcare insurance through Clearwater Clearwater Benefits. They are a company that specializes in healthcare benefits, offering healthcare benefits for those who are 1099 employees like you. And then thirdly, we have financial literacy, which is critically important, especially in today's time of lower transaction volume per agent, typically through Dave Ramsey's system, Ramsey Solutions Smart Dollar. We'll talk about each of these in just a second, but then the fourth one is wealth management. Once you have a little bit saved up, how do you handle that? How do you invest that? How do you grow that to create generational wealth and change the legacy of your life? This is the package that we put together. We've talked about it a lot, but I want to run through each of these real fast. Commitment number one is 100% commission. Mike Del Prete, who is a University of Boulder, Colorado professor, he's an analyst in our industry. He studied companies in the industry in trying to measure who had the highest commission dollars returned to the agents or left in the pockets of the affiliates. And as you can see there, United Real Estate was on top at 96%. So 96 cents of every commission dollar this company receives stays in your pocket instead of going in our pocket. That's pretty strong. That's why the momentum title is so important, because that helps us with additional revenue stream. Point of fact is we have not raised our prices in almost 4 years. And I would defy you to find anything at Kroger that hasn't gone up in price in 4 years. Everything has, but we have not. This is why, okay? Healthcare benefits are available to you. Health share plans, HSA, PPOs, medical, dental, vision, critical illness, all of them are available. And why is that important? Because if you don't have healthcare insurance, you are swinging from the trapeze with no net underneath. 65% of all bankruptcies list medical debt as the number one cause. And 33% of you listening to this video do not have healthcare. That's statistical facts. So it is the safety net underpinning all of your financial security. But beware, there are close imitators out there. United Healthcare is the one you see on the right. That logo is the one that they will carpet bomb you every year, trying to get you to sign up on insurance. The one on the left, ureghealthcare.com, is the one you want to go to. That's the one that we have set up. That's the one that's concerned about you. And spend 10 minutes on the phone with them. If you've got a better plan, they'll tell you you've got a better plan. They won't put you on a list and try to email you and sell you and sell you and sell you and sell you. That will not happen. That was one of the deals. That would not happen. What we're going to do is walk you through a plan, structure, and analysis of what coverage you have. And if that works, great. If it doesn't, at least you tried. You looked at it. You tried to secure that safety net. Kudos to you. The third commitment is financial literacy. Now, Smart Dollar is an app that you can use on a laptop, you can use it on an iPad, you can use it on a phone. It is something for you and your family, significant other, whoever's invested in your financial future should work on this together. It is education. It is lots of videos. It is training on how to handle money. It is how to set a budget up, how to handle a monthly plan on your home to help you succeed and accumulate wealth. And everybody says, well, I understand money. I've got plenty of money. I'm killing it out here. Well, statistically, you are not, because our country consumer debt is now $18.2 trillion, and it was up, total debt was up 167 billion from the prior quarter and the quarter that just ended. So everybody who says that we understand money is lying. We are borrowing money to maintain our lifestyle, and that is going to catch up with us. We're doing it as a country, and we're doing it as individuals, and it's got to stop. And the only way to stop is understanding how money works, because you don't. Those who participated are winning big time. The total financial turnaround of the participants, 1,724, actually it's 1,725. I just looked right before I clicked the record button on this, is $4.4 million, of which nearly 2 million is debt eliminated, and the other 2.6 is additional savings added. One thing we will point out to you is that all of your information is 100% confidential. We know who you are. We know the dollar amounts that you put in there. We know the activities that you have on the system, but we do not have access to any of your bank account information. That is completely confidential and behind a sealed steel wall that we cannot see. So I want to give you that reassurance there. And it's really easy to sign up. All you have to do is go to the dash, click the tile, put in the email address that we have for you on file, and then it will ask you for a company keyword, and your company keyword is UREG. 4 little letters can mean a difference in your future today. So go take advantage of that. And then once you do have some funds saved up, we can put you in touch with Creative Planning. Brandon Severino is the neck of the funnel. He's been teaching some webinars on the Learning Academy for United. So you want to you can go click those and watch those if you want to see what's going on, how they do things. But that QR code is actually that is his contact info. So if you click that, it will show up on your phone. His contact info will show up on the phone, and you can drop him an email and say, hey, Brandon, I'd like to be placed with a financial advisor that's close to where I live, and he will certainly do that. We do not make a dime off that. We make a minuscule amount off the insurance, but it's very, very, very little. But we don't make anything off this. And Smart Dollar costs us a boatload of money. United Real Estate has invested over $500,000 in that product, in bringing that to you so that you can learn financial literacy and understand how money works. All right, so that's the 4-stage commitment. You've heard about it before. You're going to keep hearing about it until I see a number on there that says all of our 2,000 affiliates are actually on the system. We're going to keep hammering it, so stay tuned. We have had an interesting thing happen in the marketplace. We're beginning to see, you've heard about this because Griffin Dunham, our attorney partner with Momentum Title, has put this out there. But there is something cropping up called a Novation disclosure, and you want to be aware of it and warn your clients from ever signing one of these. And here's a little video that he put together to talk about exactly what that is.
Good morning, Benchmark. Griffin Dunham with Momentum Title, here with a title tip. A few months ago, the Tennessee legislature amended a statute, 66-4-401. It's now known as the wholesaling statute. The statute requires wholesalers, and when I say wholesalers, I mean those who are in the business of flipping contracts, of assigning those contracts to third parties. They're not the actual purchaser of the property. They are there to assign the contract and in exchange receive an assignment fee and allow the assignee to step into the shoes of the wholesaler to then close the transaction. Those wholesalers have to disclose to the seller prior to going under contract that they intend to assign the contract. It also requires the wholesaler to disclose to the assignee that they have an equitable interest in the contract and provide the material terms. So purchase price, contingencies, stipulations, those have to be disclosed. The wholesaler then has to go back to the seller and disclose to the seller the effective date of the assignment. And they have to do that within 3 days of the effective date. Wholesalers naturally don't want people in their business, so they had to get creative here in the last couple of months to work around the statute. And that's through this concept of a novation, which is effectively a legal substitution of parties to a contract. Once there is a novation, the substitution of the party then renders the prior contract non-existent. It's effectively terminated and there's a new contract. So you might wonder how that happens. It happens because the wholesalers also present to the seller an addendum to the contract that requires the seller to enter into a limited power of attorney that gives the wholesaler the right to act on the seller's behalf to market the property and to enter into a contract with a third party. The seller has no idea what that contract looks like. All the seller has promised is that they're going to get the same net at the closing. It's a big problem because if you have a third party who you have directly authorized to act on your behalf, you don't get any control anymore about what the terms and conditions of the new contract are. There could be additional obligations. There could be additional stipulations. There could be different requirements for the seller to perform in order to get to closing. So the net may be the same, but if it never gets to closing and there are obligations that the seller can't perform, the seller is now in breach of contract. Again, we're talking about direct, actual authority, not implied authority, not apparent authority. A wholesaler can stand up and say, I did this because I have the authority to act on behalf of the seller. It creates a tremendous amount of exposure, not only to the seller, but also to the seller's agent. So if you're a listing agent out there and you have to answer one day to this claim that a wholesaler was not acting in their fiduciary, upholding their fiduciary responsibilities, and as a result, the seller was damaged, you're going to be part of that lawsuit too. So we have a dash video coming up. That dash video is going to go into novations more. It's going to go into wholesaling more. And it's also going to go through one of these contracts that has the addendum attached to it. We're going to go through all the troubling provisions to include memorandums of contract, to include things that I haven't seen in a contract in a long time that are potentially very dangerous. Look forward to hearing about any reviews or questions or insights that anybody has on those. Always feel free to reach out to us. If you haven't used Momentum Title yet, love for you to use us, and we'll, in exchange, whoever your client is, buyer or seller, they're going to get the settlement fee waived. It's a $550 value to your client. That's a tryout. If you like us, great, keep on using us. And if you don't, all we ask is for a little feedback so we can improve. Our objective here is to be resources to benchmark agents and to help you improve by making the closing process not only as seamless as possible, but as educational as possible. Thank you for your time and look forward to hearing those questions.
All right. Thank you, Griffin. That was very good of him to put that together. And Griffin is the attorney, my partner in Momentum Title. And if you didn't know it, this young man is actually, and I call him young man, he's actually in his late 40s, but he's young to me. Excuse me, has actually argued and won cases before the U.S. Supreme Court before. So that's the caliber of credibility that we bring to the table with Momentum Title. I get all choked up just thinking about it. All right, moving on to numbers. We're talking about the company numbers for May, and we always do a comparison of how we did last year in May. So last year in May, you guys had closed $441 million of the real estate, almost 442. We'd paid you right at $11 million in commissions on 886 transactions with an average sales price, benchmark average sales price of $498. The market at the same time did 3,447 closings. Compared to this year, May, 495 million. That's up 12.2%. Gross commissions were up slightly, a little over $11 million that we paid you. On transaction count was up 3.8% at 902. On an average sales price of $538. Now, what we like to compare here is how we did compared to the market. And as you can see, you guys were roughly 19.3% ahead of the local market. So you kept your head down, you kept going to work, you kept showing up every day, and it showed up in your numbers. So kudos to you. Well done, y'all. Well done. Inventory is continuing to rise. A month-over-month increase was up 14.5%. A year-over-year increase was up 46.6%. A huge amount of inventory beginning to hit the market now as houses stay on the market longer. And our affiliate count is still growing at the average of 9 to 10% year over year. We're currently at 1,793 affiliates at the end of May. And as of today, almost the end of June, we are already up over 1,800 affiliates. So pretty happy about that. We'll keep going forward. That's a lot of numbers on the screen. I get it. And the picture tells us 1,000 words. What you see there is how our gross sales have trended. And you can see the arrow that I'm pointing to is 2025. It's peaking now ahead of the last 3 years. Same thing on similar on commissions. They're not quite ahead of 2022, but they're ahead of the last 2 years anyway. And then transaction count is now approaching exceeding 2022 as well. So that's all the numbers I just gave you. I gave each of you a picture on each of those numbers I gave you. Now, year to date, how are we doing? Well, at the end of this should say May 31, not April 30th. That's a typo on my part. It's what happens when I move too fast on these things. So this is May 31, 2025. We had closed $1.2 billion worth of real estate, paid almost $30 million in commissions, 2,524 transactions, and on an average benchmark sales price of 483,305, and the market at the same time had done 96.54. And again, we are beating the market. We're up 8.9 to 1.3 billion year over year, 31 million in commissions paid, transaction count at 2845. That's a 12.7% increase over last year. While at the same time, the market is actually down to 93.92, and our average sales price is down 3.3%, which is a trend that we like to see. We want to see those prices begin to ease a little bit. We'll talk about that more here in just a minute. But again, we focus on this part right here, and you guys, year to date, at the end of May, sorry for the typo in the headline there, at the end of May 31, 2025, you guys are ahead of the market 15.4%. So that means you are actually getting up, going to work every day, and dragging it home, killing something and dragging it home. So good for you. Comparatively speaking, on a national market update, the existing home sales price totals were released this morning, annualized, running at 4.03 million. That is a slight increase month over month, but still a slight decrease year over year. So we're just kind of jogging along, as you can see the red line that I just drew across there. We're just kind of jogging along at that 4 million count of existing home sales. National snapshot real fast. The 10-year yield has actually improved slightly. That means that mortgage rates typically follow the 10-year yield, so they should begin to ease slightly. They're at 6.99 today. So it's still hovering right around that 7% on a 30-year fixed. Inventory is at 825. That's actually an increase of 17,000 units since last month. And then the median list price, not sales price, but list price has actually declined slightly, about $3,000, and the average days on market has declined down to 102 days on market. On average, this is national now. I'm going to show you local in a minute, but that's national. And then price reductions, 39.5% of all listings on the market are having price reductions. Then it's up about 0.5%. The May national median home sales price now, what I just showed you was list price. Sales price is $422,800 according to today's release. That is up 1.3% year over year. And you can see the home price growth that we've had the last 12 years. The stair-step chart on the right there just tells you everything you need to know. In the greater Nashville area specifically, we have had a 100% increase in the last 8 years. That means it's doubled in 8 years. That what goes up so rapidly must come down. That was driven purely by money created out of thin air by the federal government trying to overcome the COVID lockdowns and the perceived depression that was about to happen. Well, that's fine. You got to do what you got to do when you're running the economy, but they overdid it. They overdid it really bad, and it made home prices go crazy. And now everybody's just kind of lost their mind thinking this is normal. It kind of goes back to when when mortgage rates jumped up to 7% and everybody fell out of their chair because they got over 4%. And in the history of 75-year history of mortgages in America, the average is right around 6.8%. So we have only just now returned to average. Everything that happened, and we have an entire generation of buyers that believes that 3.5% is normal when it's not. It's not normal at all. These prices that you're seeing in the marketplace today are not normal at all. And you can see the charts and graphs there. Homes sold at the slowest pace in May in the last 5 years. So this is the slowest May in 5 years. So things are beginning to ease up, even though inventory is on the market, rates have stabilized, buyers are beginning to come out, but they really don't know what to do yet. They haven't figured that out. So it is eased up a little bit considerably. And I'm sorry, but my telephone keeps ringing there. Sorry, I have the ringer turned down, but it's annoying. I'm going to turn it over so I can't even see it. How about that? At the same time, percentage of properties with recent price reductions has risen to 39.5% of all listings on the market are experiencing price cuts. So we talked about prices quite a bit. It has to do with inventory. It has to do with the fast run up in prices. It has to do, I would advocate that, the home prices really didn't increase, that what actually happened was the purchasing power of your dollar was decreased rapidly, deliberately, abusively by the Federal Reserve and the government. So you really haven't gained any more value on your home. All you did was lost value and purchasing power in your dollars. And that's why home prices are where they are relative to what our earnings are, because they have not kept up. So you're beginning to see the price increases, price declines set place in the market. And you're going to see that increasingly as you go throughout the summer and hit the fall and then the winter. I expect we'll see some rather severe price declines because everybody that has to move, they have to find the number in the marketplace. And so that's why for you, the agent, pricing is so critically important to understand. We just went through a series of appraisal classes here at Benchmark, and we brought our resident appraiser in. Kudos to Clint Walker. He did a great job on these classes. People want to know why we couldn't record them. That's his intellectual property. We don't own his intellectual property, so we could not record it and distribute it. That's up for him to do that, not us. And but we do hope that we'll have more of those classes. And I would encourage every one of you to get out of your chair and get in the office and begin to understand what's happening with pricing. Otherwise, you're going to wind up in a situation where you're trying to catch a falling knife. And every time you try to do that, you're going to get cut and your seller's going to get mad. And then you're going to have a problem all the way through it. The inventory is still increasing. It's 33% more than it was last year. We're now approaching 2019 levels. And so we have got to understand that that's also going to impact pricing as well. 825,000 single-family homes on the market as of today. Sorry, as of the end of May. All right, local market. That was national stuff, kind of big picture. Let's take it down to a slightly smaller picture on the local market, and you can see that the trends are pretty much the same. We had this huge run up, as you can see right there on the screen, and now it's kind of plateaued. The current median home price is $457. That's still rising just a little bit, but not nearly like it was before. And inventory is still increasing as well. I'm going to put my highlighter on here, my laser pointer, so you can see how it's jumped up. We now have inventory, more inventory than we've had in the last 5 years, and that is 12.3% up from April. And that's the May. And that's Nashville. Total inventory, single family homes, 10,178. So we have a lot of choices out there, a lot of choices that still need help with correct pricing, and that is your job. So be careful with that. Learn all you can. Become a student of pricing if you wish to succeed and help your clients in this marketplace. Days to pending has remained the same at 21 days. This is not days to closing. This is not days on the market. This is days to pending, 21 days. And you can see that we're not the highest, nor are we the lowest. So we are right there in the lower third, I would say. It's the same as it was in April. But, thank goodness you live in the South, because 46% of all real estate transactions last month, it always bounces around between 40 and 47% of all real estate happens in the South. So if you can't make it here, honey, you can't make it anywhere. 46% happened in the South. And thank goodness you didn't live in the Northeast or the West, because they're not the major share of the market. So what does the future look like? Well, that should help you say the future looks pretty bright, because when it does happen, it's going to happen here. But also the fact that if you look at the trending home sales, it will probably exceed 2024. By how much, we don't know. It's crystal ball stuff, but it really looks like we're going to have a pretty decent year when it's all said and done, as long as you can monitor the prices on the listings. All right, changing tracks now. Created a presentation here that's called 6 Strategies to Stand Out to Home Buyers. And what we're talking about is your buyer representation activities. Everybody thinks, oh, I've heard all about buyer reps all year long. Hone the craft, sharpen the saw. That's what we're going to do here. I'm going to hit some 6 high points, and then I'm actually going to give you a 7th bonus strategy that will help you improve your business and do better at buyer representation. So what's the point of this? Well, in today's market, if you think being a tour guide and making new friends is what this is all about only, you're going to fail. You will not succeed over the long term with that mentality that has been successful in the past. It is no longer, because it's a much more competitive market today than it ever has been. I'm going to try to, we're trying to position you, trying to give you something other than just technical knowledge, and trying to give you some mental kick in the butt, if you will, on how to increase your buyer representation skill set. That's what this is all about. So let's break into strategy number 1. It begins with understanding the buyer's needs. This is the number one problem that I see in our marketplace. The number one problem I see in this industry is that when a buyer rep goes in and starts talking to a buyer in a buyer presentation, they want to sell themselves. They want to push themselves on that buyer, to convince that buyer to use them. Use me, use me, use me, use me. Okay, that is the absolute last thing you need to be doing. You need to stop selling and start listening. Listen to what the buyer's needs are, listen to what their pain points are, and then design your presentation around what their pain points are at that moment. You have 100% commission here. You can do it however you want to, whether you want to do it with money, or whether you want to do it with marketing, or whether you want to do it with something else. But listen, there's a reason God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. And yet most of us have a tendency to act like we have 2 mouths and 1 ear. That's half deaf. So it starts with the in-depth buyer interview. Develop a comprehensive intake form is my first suggestion. And make sure you have it in writing what their needs are, because you can have a conversation, you can get to know them, and 30 minutes later you will have forgotten most of what they told you. But if you've got an intake form, if you've got a foundational document that helps guide the entire relationship, then you know exactly what the needs are. I don't know if you guys watch House Hunters International on TV, or any of the House Hunter shows, really. Typically the first session of those shows shows the agent sitting down and talking with the buyer, and then making notes on what they're wanting, what that buyer's needs are. And that is critically important. You also want to set yourself up as an educator. And you can do that individually, one-on-one. You can do that in a group through first-time home buyer seminars, however you want to do it, and help educate them on complex concepts like PMI, escrow, property taxes. We've got a big boost in property taxes that just hit the Middle Tennessee market this year, so that's a big topic. Every one of you should be an expert on that by now. If you're not, then you're already behind the curve. Market analysis, figuring out exactly what hyperlocal markets are doing and what the numbers are. We talked about that when we were talking about the national numbers just a minute ago. And now you're on the other side of the table working with the buyer and explaining to them what the real number should be on this house that's overpriced. And you can't do that unless you have facts and data on specific neighborhoods and specific types of properties. So I encourage you to spend a lot of time working on that. And then figuring out how to do efficient showings, like set your buyer matching software up, called Real Scout. Okay, we give it to you. It doesn't cost you anything. Create preview videos on the properties that you're going to go look at. Try to avoid the trap of being the tour guide, just driving around looking at properties. Filter it down. Make them prove to you exactly this is of interest, this is of interest, that is not of interest. And then you filter that down so that you maximize your time together, and you're not just, as I say, not just a tour guide. It's critically important. That's where it all starts. That's strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 is becoming the resource hub. This includes proactive communication, meaning staying in touch with your client during the process the entire time. Because have you ever had a situation where a client went sideways on you? They were telling you one thing, like we want to see 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in Mount Juliet. That's all we want to look at. And yet then they keep sending you stuff in Hendersonville, or they keep sending you stuff in Gallatin. Okay. Communication, proactive communication eliminates that possibility because you're already ahead of it and you're keeping them informed and they're keeping you informed and you have the communication flow. Everybody walks around in this business with commission breath and they're afraid that somebody's going to run off on them and run off with their money, and then they'll lose a client and they'll lose a commission. Instead of developing a professional relationship with a buyer, which would alert you to those danger signals early in the process, so that if there is a danger of that buyer vanishing on you or ghosting you, as they call it today, then you know it way ahead of time and you haven't spent a whole bunch of money. So stop operating from a paradigm of fear, operate from a paradigm of proactive communication. It's critically important. Financial tools. You must understand money. You must understand math. This is critical. You've got to vet your lender contacts. We have FCM, in-house lender here. They will meet with your people any time of the day or week, and you can get everything you need to know explained to them on the front end. Do it visually. Graphs, charts. I'm a big guy on graphs, right? And you don't know that by now. You haven't been paying attention, but people will hear what you say, but they will understand a picture 10 times faster. And then make sure that you are educating them. If they say they want this kind of house, and say, well, have you considered that this might be an issue with that type of house, or this might be an issue in that area with flooding or whatever, all kinds of different things. It's a very busy street. If you encourage them to go sit in a neighborhood at 7 o'clock at night and say, is this the neighborhood I want to live in? But seek out and do your own research. Don't just put it out there in the closed group as a question. Seek out your own information, your own knowledge. There is a ton of free stuff that's out there. And then positioning yourself there as a comprehensive resource hub makes you the expert, right? It makes you, demonstrates that you have knowledge, it demonstrates that you have experience, and it gives the client, the buyer, a feeling of confidence in whatever you tell them. And you have some excellent resources right at your fingertips. You have these market reports on Benchmark Dash. You go to Agent Resources, scroll down to Market Reports. You can see Middle Tennessee RTMLS. That means all of the Middle Tennessee. And then you can also do it by county individually. And when you click on that, you will see what you see over here on the right. You can break down for sale versus sold, average price per square foot, average days on market, so on and so forth. Now, these are by county numbers. I can't give you neighborhood numbers, but you can go to the MLS and get neighborhood numbers. And the MLS also provides you some good information too. This is available. This is a May 2025 market update. It tells you compared to 25 and 24 year over year change on all these new listings now under contract. And these are by Greater National MLS, but you can also break it down by individual counties there as well, with a whole lot more information. And this is the type of information that your clients need to know. They need to understand what the market trends are, so that one, if they're a buyer, they don't overpay. And if they're a seller, they don't list too high. And this data, this is available to you right there. All you have to do is pull it down and put it out there. And you also even have one on the front page where you can add specific data on a county, city, zip code on a widget on your homepage on RealTracs. I mean, they're bringing it and laying it right in your lap. All you have to do is set it up. It's right there. And most of you have never set it up. So go check that out. It could be very helpful to explaining who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it, and also help control the relationship, which is key. It's critical to what you're doing. The buyer presentation, the buyer rep agreement is also key. You want to explain your roles and duties clearly. You want to explain how you're going to get paid clearly, the expectations, the protection. All of this is critically important in the conversation. Oh, and by the way, we've got one for you again, back under Welcome Agent Resources, back under Marketing Resources. You have a buyer presentation already done for you in Canva. All you have to do is just customize it with your own information, your own data, drop it in there, and you've got a PowerPoint display that you can show to your client and establish the whole tone of the relationship and confidence that you are a professional and know what you're doing here, not just a tour guide. It's critically important. It's critically important. It's also critically important that you use the new buyer rep agreement. You received a copy of this back in May, and you received an email in May that said what you see on the screen there, that as of June 1, we will no longer accept the old the TAR form of the buyer rep agreement or the buyer listing agreement. And yet I get a report every Monday morning on what happened the week before, and we are still seeing that some of you are still using the TAR buyer rep agreements and the buyer listing agreements, and we are sending them back to you as of June the 1st. We are rejecting them and not accepting them, and your broker will be touching base with you on that. Now, I'm pretty sure that the people listening to this video are not the ones that have experienced that, because if you've listened to this video before, you know how our process that we're going through. So keep in mind that you want to make sure you explain the buyer rep agreement completely and everybody's roles and responsibilities, and that you have done it correctly. That's critical. Strategy number 3 is master techniques of negotiation. This is probably the single biggest point of failure of real estate agents in this area that I know of. Tips there is use a structured negotiation framework, understand how negotiation works, use a structured framework, follow a defined approach, do things exactly the same way every time. You know, people laugh at me for the processes that we've set in place here at Benchmark. And I can appreciate that because they don't have any. But the processes we set in place, and the reason we have them in place is why? Because repeatable processes create repeatable outcomes. And if you have a process in place for negotiation and you have it set, fixed, just write it down so you're doing the same way every time. Guess what? You're going to have the same outcomes every time. Do it well, you'll have good outcomes. Do it poorly, you'll have poor outcomes. Share those success stories, not only with your clients that you're working with, but also on social media and other areas. We'll talk about that in just a second, but do it in terms of tangible benefit to the reader. The example I used there is we secured 8,000 in repairs after presenting a detailed inspection summary. Okay, so it didn't say we got X numbers off we got a little bit off the sales price, or our buyer really liked us, or we had a big time, we went to dinner afterward and got drunk, or whatever. Give a specific data point on what success looked like in that relationship. And that's key, because then you're giving them something tangible. Ensure document accuracy. This is a big deal. This is a real big deal. Read the document. I promise you that many agents out here on both sides of the transaction, in our company and outside our company, have never read the actual documents from the beginning to the end, every word. It's a fill in the blank process. I get it. And it lulls you in the feeling of complacency, but you need to read and understand the documents. And if there's a legal phrase in there you don't understand, go educate yourself, because it's your job to also educate your client on what those clauses mean. And if you can't do that, then you're not doing your job correctly. You need to develop contingency strategies. If you have one process that you tried and worked 5 times and now it's not working anymore, don't give up. Develop an additional strategy or additional contingent strategy, and always have a war plan in writing for various scenarios. You know, the U.S. military, they have a battle plan for every possible scenario of war that they could fight. It's already booked, baked in a drawer, ready to go, pull out, follow the game plan. That's how you should have something similar to that as far as negotiation tactics go. So again, the key is strong negotiation skills directly translate to tangible financial benefits for your clients. And you need to identify that. You need to be ready to quantify that for your clients, because your clients are interested in some very specific things. This is this comes from a research report that just came out a few years ago, that what do clients value about a real estate agent's function? Well, 89% value the ability to create detailed, compelling offers. 53% value the paperwork, and 84% value the skill set of negotiation and negotiating correctly and to that client's benefit. So it's critically important to your client. And if you're not fulfilling that need, then you're kind of a has-been me too. If you don't really understand negotiating, then read some books. Here's 5 of the best books on negotiating that I have ever read. The one you see on the left there, Never Split the Difference, is probably the best negotiating book that has ever been written. If you don't read any 5, read that one and then go back and read it again. I actually have it on Audible and a hard copy that has yellow highlighter and notes flagged in it throughout. It's been very helpful to me, and that's all. You just go use Google the top 5 books on negotiation and then read them all. That's my biggest suggestion here. Strategy number 4 is build your online brand. Professional branding, okay? Content creation, content calendar, do it regularly, video content strategy, engagement practices. You know, a strong brand is going to be what draws people in. If you consider taking your car to a repair shop, what's the first thing you do? You go online, don't you? You go online and you look to see what the reviews on the car repair shop are. And I'm just picking on car repair shops because it's the easy one. Well, consumers are doing that with you now. And if you're MIA or you don't have a strong professional brand, they're drawing conclusions about you that may not be accurate, but it impacts their decision on whether they're going to do business with you or not. Okay. So it's critical that you have good video content out there. I mean, look at me. I have a face that's made for radio, yet I have lots of video content out there. All of this stuff that you see on the Benchmark YouTube channel, a lot of it is Huckleberry here. Okay. And I am a 66-year-old gray-haired old guy with bad acne scars. You have no excuse. You have no excuse for not doing your own video content. Just figure it out. Get over yourself, offer some value, engage your audience. We're not talking about discussing your kids and your puppies and your kitties. We're talking about business value creation here. We're talking about engaging them in something that they're interested in, particularly if they have indicated to you that they might be reviewing you to understand how you do business. Do a quickie video with your cell phone, text it to them and say, just thinking about you, here's what I got. It is amazing how well that works. And keep your social media fresh. Now, a lot of people hang a website out there and then they forget about it because they get busy. This should be part of your busyness, is making sure that your social media is fresh. You want to keep your profiles updated. A lot of you need a new photo, need a new headshot because you're using the one from 1975. Stop it. Get one that looks like you. Post regularly. Invest in the equipment to do so. And if you want to be a social media political warrior, go find something else to do for a living, because it will backlash on you in this career, and it will ruin your career and will also splatter on Benchmark. So just stay away from the political stuff. Stay away from polarizing conversations. They're not professional. You don't need to have them. That's not what this is for. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for your business. You would never go to a doctor that was constantly on social media slamming other races, would you? And yet we see that over and over again on social media, where agents will get on there and they'll start yapping about something. They'll get caught up in a conversation. Before they know it, you have this snowball effect inside of control. And that is a hugely damaging situation. You just want to stay away from it. Just don't engage. Just don't engage. Okay. Strategy number 5 is leverage client testimonies. This is something else that is rarely used correctly in our industry. You want to capture the emotional journey of your clients and how you help them. Video testimonials, and then strategic content reuse. You can carve up a video into different segments and use it in different areas. And it works tremendously well. Because here's the statistical fact that an audience is 3 times more likely to believe what someone else says about you than what you say about yourself. So the simple fact that somebody else is saying it about you is automatically a brand of credibility in the eye of most audiences. 3 times more higher possibility of them believing it if somebody else says it than if you say it. I can say, I'm the best salesman in all of Nashville. I'm the best salesman in all of Tennessee. I'm the best salesman, whatever. I can say that till I'm blue in the face. But I can get 2 other people who actually walk that journey to do a quasi-emotional video with me. And guess what? It will go viral every time it happens. So focus on your testimonials. Get over the fact that, well, I don't want to be that guy or that gal who actually has to be vain and ask how we did. No. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, number 1, did I do a good job? And if I did a good job, let's talk about together on the same video what transpired during that process. And number 2, if they say, well, you didn't do a good job, so I'm not going to do the video. Well, guess what? You've just gotten feedback on your job performance on where areas you need to improve. It's a no-lose situation for you either way. Get those testimonials, get them written down, get the videos, put them out there, keep them turning on every transaction. Strategy number 6 is communicate your value effectively. So on the front end, you want to map the client journey, specifically highlighting the fact that you're going to spend 80 plus hours, maybe 160 hours, depending on how good of a client you have, of the behind the scenes stuff that they don't know about. You want to visualize your efficiency using comparison charts. You want to quantify your impact. Again, this is talking about my negotiation strategy saved previous clients an average of $12,000 in the average in repair costs. Now, you don't want to say that if it's not true, but if it is true, then you want to press that quantify, the fact that you quantified your value to the consumer in their mind. You could say, well, I'm really good at getting money knocked off for repairs. That's not quantifying. Quantifying is I averaged $12,000 in repair cost discounts. Whatever, you understand my point. And then position yourself as a strategist, not as a foot soldier, but as a home buying strategist, somebody who can Sun Tzu this entire process and figure out how to get you, the buyer, into the home that you love in a very happy, easy manner. That's your job. You position yourself that way, communicate your value effectively, you're going to do very well in this business for sure. When a client clearly understands your value proposition, they're more likely to appreciate your services, follow your guidance, and refer you to others in their network. That's the key. This is how we build a business. It's called a flywheel effect. You get a flywheel going, you get it turning. It's really hard to get turning at first, but once you get it turning, it requires minimal effort to keep it turning. And the way you keep it turning is by investing in these 6 strategies that I've just given you. Use statistics to prove your value. It's about the math. It's not magic. Okay? That's the 6 strategies. I've got a bonus one for you. You ready? Go get some listings. You got a listing, you got a product in your hand to sell. You've got a product that will draw in other buyers. You've got a product to advertise to market. You can target your neighborhood. You can help the neighborhood. You can become a neighborhood expert because you have a listing in that neighborhood. And you're going to provide that information to prospective buyers that come along, as well as to other potential listing clients in that neighborhood. This kind of deals with the farming, right? You want to make sure that you are soliciting a particular neighborhood. I used to teach a class on this stuff because that's how I built my business, was through farming. And it really was not hard. It just takes tenacity, and you have to keep going back after it, back after it, back after it, and balance your business approach. With each listing, you want to generate inbound buyer leads while leveraging showing feedback to sharpen your pricing advice for sellers. See the conversation about feedback being a useless process. I get that. But we've got a set of sellers out here that have in their head a prescribed amount that they want for their house, and they're not going to understand your word. They're only going to understand everybody else's word. If the market is rejecting their price, that's the only way they're going to understand it. And giving that feedback is key to that. You don't want to be abusive about it, but you want to be truthful. And if you say it should be X price, then you need to provide those comps for that. By the way, on comps, if you're using anything over 45 days old, it's too old. That's how fast this market is moving. I would even say 30 days, but I will go 45 if I have to. But just keep that in mind. You got cross-marketing opportunities, matching buyers in our database with your listing, and then also unrepresented buyers who might be subscribed to Real Scout could say, hey, I do realize that I need some help. Would you help me because I want to go look at that house that you've got listed? So you got a product in your hand, and then you got the ability to set up good presentations. So all that is to say, really, the last line that you see there at the bottom is remember that each seller you impress may become your next buyer client, because every seller is going to be a buyer somewhere. That's typically true on 99% of sellers. That 99% of sellers will become a buyer. And if you play it well, then they can be your client as a buyer also. So that way, again, it's the flywheel. You're creating a continuous pipeline of business. Listings, buyers, buyers, listings, listings, buyer. And that's how you elevate your real estate career, because you're going to apply these things consistently. You're going to use these strategies in daily practice. If you're a benchmark in, this entire slide deck is available to you on the dash under marketing resources, as is this video. This video is going to be on YouTube, but also on the dash. And then this slide deck, the PDF of this slide deck is right underneath. So if you want to take this out take this PDF, print it out, make your notes, listen to the video again, make your notes on it, and develop your strategies, and then tell me about them. Give me some feedback and let me know how they work for you, because that's how we know we're all building successful businesses. You want to focus on your relationships, develop stronger connections with your clients. Everybody who knows you needs to know that real estate is how you feed your family. That's just a simple truth, and you can only do that if you have a relationship with people. It generates referrals, increase your word of mouth business, and then elevate your reputation. Those are all key parts of elevating your career strategy. So that's kind of putting a bow on it for you. I will tell you that we have a lot of training here at Benchmark. Everybody wants to talk about needing to learn, but very few show up. I don't know how many people are going to be watching this video on Friday at 9 o'clock, but it's probably going to be less than 100 of the 1,800 agents, affiliates that we have here at Benchmark. But that's okay. These programs take a lot of effort to put together. So in July, I personally have a really heavy travel schedule, not vacation, it's business. So we're going to take Fridays with Phillip as a hiatus in July, but we'll be back with you. I will go ahead and when we get the monthly stats in for June, I will put them on the closed group. You can do with them what you want to, but I won't be having this video in July. We'll pick it up again in August. So with that said, you have my contact info. I'm Phillip Cantrell. I am available in Real Tracks. You can give me a shout if you have any questions or needs, and your principal brokers are always available. And I really do appreciate you attending today. So thank you for coming, and let us know if there's anything we can help you with. Have a good day.